Hello again, I am Doc Rotten, and this is Gruesome Magazine. Tonight, we review Trust from director Carlson Young.
Gruesome Magazine.
Joining me tonight is my guest host, Paul Cardullo. Welcome back to Gruesome Magazine. How are you doing, Paul?
Doing pretty good, Doc. How about you?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you so much for hanging out to watch these two screeners with me. It was a blast, and the other screener is Witchboard. Go check that review out. It's out there from last week, so check it out. But yeah, so this one, Trust, is an interesting one. But before we dive into our review, please be sure to like and subscribe and share with a friend. We'd love to reach more horror fans just like you, and that will help us do that. So thank you in advance. All right, here's the description from IMDb. You ready? A Hollywood actress hides in a remote cabin after a scandal, only to find herself betrayed and fighting for survival against someone she once trusted. It's accurate, but it's a lot different than what that sentence sounds like.
I was trying to sit there going, well, yeah. I mean, kind of.
I know. So we both thought this was going to be strictly a home invasion film.
Yeah.
Right? And I think what we discovered while watching it is not just a home invasion film. There's a lot more going on here.
Yeah.
And there's an interesting aspect to how this movie presents its story, and we'll get into that.
Yeah.
We had a wonderful conversation after watching it, discussing just the makeup of the film. And there's a great cast. I'll quickly go through the cast, and then we'll get into our review.
Okay.
Sophie Turner is our lead. Rhys Coiro, I think, Coiro. Yeah, Billy Campbell. There's a name you might remember. We'll get into that in a little bit. Paul Mensa, Forrest Goodluck, Gianno Paolo, and Katie Segal. And it's the one with the two A's, because there's a couple of Katie Segals by sound that we know. But this is the one from Married with Children. So yeah. Peggy Bundy is in there, and we'll get to talking about her here shortly. But first, we need to find out what we thought of the film straight up, right? So Paul, tell me about your experience with this movie, Trust.
I'm still trying to work out some of that. I mean, no. I mean, because again, we went into it thinking, it's going to be home invasion, and there's only actually a small part of that. I mean, there's a lot more to it. To me, parts of it didn't quite work, but overall, like I said, I think I said to you, there's a charm to it that made me like this more than I think I would have. So there's a charm to it, and there's some neat things and some interesting ideas and some, So that's my my overall impression is in the end, I had fun with it, and I liked it. How about you, Doc?
I liked it too. I was worried about this one, because I knew a little bit about Witchboard when we watched that one, and the review. I recommend you catching it. It's up last week. Going into this one, I didn't know as much, and I wasn't convinced we were going to have a good time, but it did. I mean, it's an uneven film.
Yeah.
Right? It's uneven, and it doesn't always know what kind of film it wants to be.
Yeah.
But the cast is cool. The cast really, all the cast are great in their roles, and there is a charm to it. There's this. It has this weird progression to the storyline, even so much so that our main protagonist is kind of separated from the story for a good bit. I was going to say a short bit, but no, it's a good bit. It still works. It works wonderfully well, but that's an unusual choice. And and there's some surprises.
Yeah.
There's you don't expect some things to happen, and when they do, they're they're kind of funny. I didn't expect to laugh so much during this film, and you and I both were like, "Is this a horror film, a comedy? Is it
Yeah.
supposed to be funny?"
Well,
Or
and
am
I
is
think at a
it?
certain point we were like that, something happens. I'm like, oh no, that had to be an intentional. That was something silly and goofy. That
Yeah,
had to be like at a certain point we're like, I think this is supposed most to be a comedy. I think part of it is that most of the people play it as comedy, not like whoop 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 broad comedy, but they play it with enough comedy
there's
to
some
it.
tongue in cheek. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
There's definitely some tongue in cheek in it, except Sophie Turner seems to play it very, very straight,
yes.
and not in a Naked Gun sort of straight way, just as in a this is the kind of movie I'm in, and everyone else is kind of like, well, I think Sophie, I think we're in this kind of movie, but of course the situation she's in is more serious, right? And
Yeah,
and
it's
what's
just the
going on with the
character, right?
right, and what's going on with that character is more serious. So she does a good job with it. But yeah, it was interesting because like tonally, it's like, where's it supposed to be? And I think we landed on it is really supposed to be more comedy. But again, like you said, she's kind of separated. And at one point, I was like, this is almost like an ensemble film because we have what's going on with her and we have what's going on with the other people. But everything does tie together, and you can kind of see and it's kind of fun saying how are these various threads going to meet up at the end. I mean, that's gonna you're like you have a general idea. In fact, one point you're like, this is going to happen, and you're like, you nailed it.
I
And you're
nailed
like,
it. I knew
oh
it was
yeah, come
gonna
on, that's going to happen. We're like, well, but you're like, nope, yeah. So
logically it wouldn't happen that way. But
yeah, that
or
doesn't
even
physically this doesn't move that way. Ah, sorry, I don't want
it's movie physics.
it's
But
movie physics.
it's yeah, it had to work that way. It had to happen that way. Yeah, I think so too, because there's a lot of antagonists.
Yes,
And I'm
yes,
expecting them all to show up at once, right? Eventually they would all be like in the same place, and it would be
yeah,
like this comedic kind of weird
yeah,
crazy event. It doesn't play out the way I expected it to. And I think a part of that is I think that's part of what I enjoyed about it was
yeah,
it kind of surprised me in that way. And it oddly worked. There are moments that there's some supporting characters, like a dog vet, for example,
yeah,
that's only in a couple scenes that play it a little too much over the top.
yeah.
Right? They know they're actually trying to be funny, but are like there's a trio of guys that do stupid stuff, and they're I kind of want to say they're like the Three Stooges, but they're not that extreme.
No. It
No,
was one was a bigger idiot than the others, I think.
one was a huge idiot, um, but it worked somehow.
Yeah.
It worked,
Well, because I think
and
the interaction with the other two with him were like, "Oh my God, you're a huge idiot."
yeah,
I think that's what kind of like they reacted in a way I would expect them to. They made more logical choices, which actually made it work, though they were still idiots. Oh my
yeah,
God, they were still
yeah.
idiots. But
Oh, yeah. But it was
yeah,
funny. It was, and that's where
yeah,
you have this thing because there's a dire circumstance here. People are dying,
yeah,
and our protagonist is in dire straits. She's in a lot of trouble. There's a lot of different things causing her problems, from her backstory to what the situation or
yeah,
situations that she gets in, and but it all comes together. The police are another. There's a couple cops and they're bumbling idiots too. It's kind of like the vet that I mentioned earlier, and they're a
yeah,
little over the top, but at the same time, I didn't mind it. I didn't
yeah.
mind it.
Like I said, there's this charm to it that's just like, in spite of any issues, it's like we had such a good time watching it, and it was fun. There was a charm where you're like, I can't fault this movie because I enjoyed it, right?
Yep. Now, Sophie Turner is a name you probably recognize, and if you aren't quite sure where the name is going, she was Sansa Stark in Game of Thrones, and that probably does it for everybody. Now they're like, if you didn't watch that and you watch superhero films, she was Jean Grey or Phoenix in two X-Men films, X-Men Apocalypse and X-Men Dark Phoenix, at least two. The two I pulled out. Billy Campbell's another one I want to mention. The rest of them we'll let slide because we want to keep it short. But Billy Campbell, when he was younger, played the Rocketeer in The Rocketeer. But lately, in addition to this film, he was in I Know What You Did Last Summer, the reboot or the legacy sequel or whatever you want to call it, as a character called named Grant Spencer. I totally didn't recognize him in that movie. It didn't even. I watched it and I didn't realize it, but now I'm like, oh. But he plays our lead character is an actress. She's very famous, and there's a scandal, and that was in the we're not spoiling anything. That's in the the story and the description, right?
Yeah.
And in the show she's on, Billy Campbell plays the father to her character, and it.
Yeah. When
they present that show and the way it's happening in these flashbacks, is comedy. Most definitely. Comedy. And he plays it as a comedic role throughout the
he does. And when he's on the show, his character has, I said, it was like Kurt Russell hair. He has Kurt Russell's hair for part of it, which is just really funny. Yeah. So yeah, to me, I don't know.
And they know it's funny, and they play a gag on it later. So but I really liked how all the characters interacted when they got the chance to do so. And there's another antagonist that's kind of in the mix too, other than the three stooges that we mentioned, if we can call them that. And he's a little bit more of a bigger problem. But he's met his match. and it's fun seeing that play out. Let's do our scores. All right. 1 to 5. Yeah. What is your score for Trust 2020?
Well, originally I was going to give it a little bit lower score because, like I said, there's just so many. There's like issues with it and tonally. Right. But again, talking about it again, it's. I had fun with it. I enjoyed it. The things that didn't work or were just also like little weirdness, like, well, maybe that's kind of what they had to do with it. And I had so much, I enjoyed it and there's charm to it. So I'm going to give it a full on 4 because,
oh, wow.
Yeah, because I mean, it's a good film. Yeah, maybe I'm generous. I was originally going to give it a little bit lower 1, but like I said, as we talked about it during this, it was just occurring to me like, but I had fun. And it's watch it. No, it's not, is it cinema? No, but is it fun? I enjoyed it.
It's a great watch. It's a great watch. I mean,
it is. And so for that, I'm gonna rate it on how much I enjoyed it. So that's
perfectly. I'm gonna give it a 3.5, but it is a strong, highly recommended 3.5.
Yeah.
And the 3.5 is because of the unevenness, and it's not doesn't quite hit all the marks, but when it does, and it does enough, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Oh, but I would imagine if you didn't accept the oddness of its tone, you're not going to like the movie as much. You kind of have to accept that this movie is uneven and it's a little odd and it's a bit strange. And it's it doesn't know if it's a horror movie or a comedy or an evasion film, but for me, it all came together enough to give it a very strong positive 3.5. I was almost wanting to give it 3.7.
That's kind of where I was. See, I was there, and as we talked about it, I bumped it up a quarter. So
I was tempted. I was tempted to go to 3.75.
So we can split the difference between our two.
3.75. So check this movie out and let us know what you think of Trust. You probably haven't heard of it. It's not getting a whole lot of buzz, or I haven't seen many trailers or anything for it. But if you do get the chance, catch it. Let us know what you think of it down below. Let us know if we are just off our rockers, or if you kind of get the same tone that we saw in this movie. And All right, Paul. Thank you for joining me. This was a lot of fun. I hope you had a good time as well.
It was a blast, Doc. Thanks as always. It's always fun.
All right, let's say good night.
Good night.
Bye.
the magazine.